Welcome to this webinar on OPM, Organizational Projects Management. Please allow me to remind you as we proceed through this webinar that I always mention that every aware human is a project manager, a risk manager, and a value engineer. We need first to understand the relationship between organizational strategy and organizational projects management. As we see in this figure, organizational projects management represents portfolios, programs, and projects. Therefore, understanding the organization's strategy is one of the initial steps that serves as the main foundation during the OPM implementation. Gaining knowledge of the organization's strategy provides the basis for understanding the current state. Usually, a description of the organizational strategy is found in annual reports or in greater detail in internal and confidential documents. The OPM implementation teams should consider taking a holistic approach in order to gain a better understanding of the strategy and how the coordination of work between other functions in the organization will take place to achieve the strategy. The main objective of OPM is to tie the project management processes to business processes and organization strategy. It's very important to remember this. By definition, the role of OPM is to tie the project management processes to business processes and to organization strategy. It is important to understand how the elements of the business process and organization strategy relate to the elements of project management and how those elements can be mapped. Why do we employ OPM? We employ OPM because there are great benefits that can be realized through the implementation of OPM. While OPM promotes the alignment of the organization's strategic objectives with related projects and their management, which many organizations consider to be a big benefit. In itself relating or connecting the business strategy to initiatives and providing the required enablers, the framework provided by implementation of a structured OPM in itself is considered a benefit by many organizations. However, other attractive benefits are possible as illustrated in this figure. For example, we have increased customer satisfaction. We have alignment of strategy and execution. We have increased productivity. We have competitive advantage. We realize effective operations. We gain an improved cost control, as well as improved market competitiveness, together with predictable delivery performance, improved communications, and efficient decisions making. Organizational leaders should consider and carefully plan the selection, sequence, and realization of those expected benefits by investing in OPM practices. Whether in the foundational or improvement stage of an OPM implementation, a benefits realization plan describing the steps, timing, and measures is needed to achieve organizational benefits effectively. So benefits realization and OPM is similar to every aspect of our management processes, which follows the law that stipulates failing to plan is planning to fail. Therefore, it also starts with planning. Not only that, sometimes it is referred to organizational projects management as organizational project planning. So in itself, it's considered a practice of planning in its own self. So organizational project management implementations starts with benefits realization plan, as well as a complete set of implementation plans. Normally, when we start to draft a strategic plan, we have vision, we have mission. The output of the strategic planning effort is normally vision, mission, goals, objectives. However, to cascade the strategic plan, and what we mean by cascading the strategic plan is how it drills down, or how it penetrates downwards through the organization from top management to lower tiers of organization. In order to implement the strategy, we refer to this as cascading of strategic plan. So the initial strategic initiative ends with identification of objectives and KPIs. However, to implement the strategy, it's a totally different effort from the strategic planning effort. So in order to implement the strategy, we need to have portfolios. And when we speak about portfolios, we normally refer to as we gain benefits. And portfolios include programs and projects. And programs are a group of related projects. We refer to programs as groups of related projects, and we expect programs to deliver value. And value gives us our benefits, and projects within programs provide us with project outcomes. So project outcomes are translated into values, and values are translated into benefits. Some references replace benefits with values and values with benefits. So this is just a point of caution. So sometimes value is part of portfolios and benefits is part of programs, depending on how benefits are defined in this reference and how value is defined in this reference. Project portfolio management. When we speak about project portfolio management, we are speaking about the alignment of the strategic initiatives and how we achieve the required benefits, as well as how we achieve the required benefits, as well as as well as the required value from our organizational project management practice. So organizations group and manage projects and programs as a portfolio of investments that contribute to the entire enterprise's success. This image illustrates one approach for project portfolio management in which one large portfolio exists for the entire organization. This allows top management to view and manage all projects at an enterprise level. So here on the left side of this image, we have overall project portfolio categories, which we have a portfolio for marketing, a portfolio for HR, a portfolio for materials, and a portfolio for IT. And on the right side is further breakdown of the IT project portfolio categories. So sections of the portfolio are then broken down to improve the management of projects in each sector. For example, a company might have the main portfolio categories shown in the left part of the figure, which are marketing, materials, IT, and human resources, and divide each of those categories further to address its unique concerns. The right part of this figure shows how the IT projects could be categorized in more detail to assist in their management. In this example, there are three basic IT project portfolio categories. Venture projects in this category help transform the business. For example, the large retail chain describing this enterprise might have an IT project to provide kiosks in stores and similar functionality on the internet where customers and suppliers could quickly provide feedback on products or services, and so forth. So here we need to remember when we speak about portfolios, we are speaking about value. And when we speak about programs, we are speaking about benefits. And when we speak about projects, we are speaking about outcomes. And values are related to vision and strategic goals. Benefits are related to mission and strategic objectives. Projects are related to project deliverables and project outcomes. And here we have just to note that PMI approach describes value as benefits minus cost, and we will discuss this equation further later in our presentation. We also need to consider that the terms benefit and value are often used interchangeably. However, it is important to understand their differences and the direct relationship between benefits and portfolios, programs, and projects. A benefit is defined as a gain realized by the organization and beneficiaries through portfolio, program, or project outputs and resulting outcomes. Value, however, is the net result of realized benefits less the cost of achieving these benefits. Value may be tangible or intangible Now we are going to discuss benefits realization management within an organizational context. So benefits realization management encompasses the standard methods and processes that an organization uses for identifying benefits, executing its benefits realization management plans, and sustaining the realized benefits facilitated by portfolios, programs, and project initiatives. Benefits realization management requires alignment with an organization's strategy, a solid understanding of key principles and techniques as described in this presentation. So once again, we return to our equation, which is how PMI defines value. So value as defined by Project Management Institute PMI equals benefits minus costs. So since benefits are gains realized by the organizations and beneficiaries, this implies that benefits are the positive outcomes or the results of an organizational investment. When organizations set their strategic goals and organizational objectives, each are coupled with planned benefits. These benefits have a beginning and sustainment period and are managed through their respective life cycles. Executives are responsible for driving organizations forward by setting goals and objectives by means of an organizational strategic plan. The objectives of the organizational strategy are then decomposed into initiatives, which are divided into portfolios, programs, and projects that deliver outputs that collectively become outcomes and ultimately realize benefits. So the primary purpose of managing portfolios is to choose the appropriate set of programs and projects, as well as execute them to realize the planned benefits and optimize organizational value. So we have an example of benefits realization management. And in this example, it is argued that the value of a better customer experience, which is an intangible benefit, is achieved through a new website with an artificial intelligence engine, which is a project output. And this can be valued in monetary terms through increased sales through the website, which is a representative or substitute tangible measure for the intangible benefit. However, to convert this benefit into value, we need to subtract the cost of implementing the AI project. So once again, we have a project of a website. We already have our website, but we added an AI engine to the website, and this engine realized, the addition of this engine resulted in increased sales. The increase in sales can be evaluated in monetary terms to define the intangible benefit of a better customer experience. This monetary value of the realized benefit could be converted into a tangible value by subtracting the cost of implementing the AI project from the increased sales value. Mapping out the organization strategy and benefits, we find it follows a certain step or a certain loop which is strategy, and from strategy we get objectives, and we divide our objectives into initiatives. Initiatives produce outputs. Outputs collectively become outcomes. Outcomes are collectively become benefits, and subtracting the cost of implementing initiatives from the benefits will give us our value. And it is a loop because we have a continuous improvement loop. So we go through the cycle of redefining our strategic plan once more, redefining our objectives, and redefining our initiatives to realize our objectives, and so forth, in order to maximize our obtained value. So what we mean to say is organizations develop visions, missions, and strategies to guide their direction. Those strategies are tied to larger overarching goals that have associated benefits. For example, a city may have a strategic objective to improve the local economy. Some associated benefits of that strategic objective could be increased revenue from tourism, more jobs and more attractions, and more facilities. Goals are then decomposed into organizational objectives that are executed via portfolio, program, and project management initiatives to deliver outputs, which result in outcomes. The outcomes then yield planned benefits that ultimately deliver the value sought by the organization. Portfolios, programs, and projects are created to achieve strategic goals and realize the associated benefits being sought as part of organizational strategy. The management of benefits occurs throughout the organization's strategic life cycle. So this is our loop, or our loop is referred to as strategic life cycle. In the context of BRM, or benefits realization management, external drivers can influence which goals are seen as relevant to the organization's overall strategy as it pertains to delivering the planned intended benefits. External drivers are necessary considerations for developing organizational strategies, which ultimately may determine the probability of realizing the planned benefits. So we always have to consider the external factors as well as the internal factors throughout the implementation phase of our strategic plan, cascading, and implementation. During the strategy development, during the strategy development, external and internal factors were considered. However, continuous consideration of internal and external factors is also necessary during the implementation phase of the strategy. So some example of external drivers that influence goals and therefore benefits realization include competitive landscape. For example, goals to maintain or create a competitive advantage. Innovation. For example, the need to advance technologically to encourage relevance is another example of an external driver that might influence goals and therefore benefits realization. Political influences, customer needs, economic factors. For example, a sudden change in the price of a commodity that the organization uses will influence and will require us to update our organizational plan. Regulatory decisions, for example, reflections of legislative policy and intent that significantly alter ways of doing business. And of course, cultural preferences of external stakeholders and beneficiaries. Business realization management has has 5 core principles, which are net benefits justify the use of invested resources. Commencement of work is driven by benefits identification. Planned benefits are identified in authorizing documents. Benefits realization is holistically planned and managed. Governance and adequate resources are essential to BRM success. So the first core principle, which is net benefits, justify the use of invested resources, stipulates that outcomes deliver benefits against funded investments made in pursuit of the organization's strategic goals and business objectives for which management of the portfolio, program, or project is undertaken. The rationale for this principle is that the net planned benefits are what justifies the sponsoring organization to use valuable resources on the effort. Value needs to take into account the benefits and the investment in the resources required to realize benefits. The second principle, which is commencement of work, is driven by benefits identification. Planned benefits during development and after delivery of outputs require clear identification before the work commences. So I do not undertake a project or an initiative without having very clear understanding of what is needed to be achieved through investing in this particular initiative. So these benefits should be unambiguously articulated to all delivery stakeholders and beneficiaries. The rationale for this principle is that delivering the expected value from planned benefits is what guides the thinking and decision making about the work to be undertaken. The value derived from benefits management should be clearly articulated so that all decision makers are able to make informed decisions regarding the work to be undertaken to eventually realize planned benefits. The third principle, planned benefits are identified in authorizing documents. All planned benefits should be appraised, estimated, verified, and agreed by the organization, key stakeholders, and appropriate beneficiaries in an authorizing document. For example, business case, benefits management realization plan, and portfolio charter, program charter, project charter. These benefits are monitored and managed as part of the portfolio, program, and project management life cycles. The rationale for this principle is to effectively appraise, formally document, monitor, and measure planned outcomes and benefits. This enables the organization to effectively monitor progress toward achieving those planned benefits. The fourth principle, benefits realization is holistically planned and managed. Benefits realization is considered holistically planned and managed from the organization's perspective of needs and requirements and not limited to those of the portfolio program or project delivery. The rationale for this principle is that BRM extends beyond the portfolio program and project domains to the entire enterprise. For BRM to be successful, a broader holistic perspective of the sponsoring organization should be built into the overall planning approach. This reduces the likelihood of shortcomings that may stem from the narrower focus of delivering only outputs through portfolio program and project management efforts. A holistic approach also includes taking unexpected changes into account with opportunities and threats for benefits realization aligned to organizational goals. Governance and adequate resources are essential to BRM success. BRM requires adequately provisioned resources working within a clear governance structure with those responsible for managing and achieving the agreed outcomes being identified correctly as accountable and authorized to do so. The rationale for this principle is that organizations should invest resources and effort to realize and sustain benefits. In addition, organizations should invest in the appropriate level of resources. Organizations should provide a clear and adequate governance structures. They should give authority to the appropriate individuals and hold them accountable for overall success. Now we come to the important question of how to implement and improve organizational projects management, which in other words is the implementation of our strategic plan. So the OPM implementation framework includes the activities and core enabling processes that support the organizational leadership in aligning project management with other business management processes to achieve strategy. The implementation should be guided by executive sponsorship and carried out by an implementation team comprised of a respected and skilled leader, as well as team members from across the organization. It is important that the identified stakeholders act as official representatives for the groups and that they are empowered to act appropriately. So now we have an OPM implementation framework, which is divided into 3 distinctive phases. The 3 distinctive phases are discovery and analysis, implementation roadmap, and finally implementation. And as we see, it's a life cycle or a loop enclosed in a loop of continuous improvement. So it's a life cycle enclosed in a loop of continuous improvement. that is made up of 3 phases, which are namely discovery and analysis, implementation, roadmap, and final implementation. As for discovery and analysis, it is about understanding the business strategy, identifying the future state, as well as performance of gap analysis. And the key deliverables of this stage are current state review, high-level future state, as well as gap analysis report. As for the implementation roadmap phase, here is when we identify and prioritize initiatives, develop the implementation roadmap, and the key deliverables of this phase are prioritization matrix and implementation roadmap. The implementation phase is where we develop the implementation plan and pilot and implement organizational project management, as well as, and most importantly, realize benefits. The key deliverables for this phase are detailed implementation plan, OPM policy, tailored core enabling processes, lessons learned, benefits metrics, and finally, measured benefits KPIs. During this process, during the process of discovery and analysis, the gap between the current state and desired future state is identified. The organization defines and implements action plans to address divergence and move to the desired state as the future state. Desired state as the future state. So here it's very important to understand that the discovery and analysis phase is more or less is the strategic planning phase. So we realize our strategy through initiatives, and initiatives are initiatives could be portfolios, could be programs, and could be projects. So what are the categories of initiatives that we expect to undertake? So we have an example of initiatives categories, which are quick wins. And these initiatives have high strategic importance, are less difficult to implement, and can be completed within a short time span. These quick wins also help to achieve buy-in from the organization. Therefore, implement these initiatives immediately and include in the short-term planning. We have differentiators, which have a high score in difficulty of implementation, as well as high score of strategic importance. These initiatives will be the most complex to implement. Include these initiatives in long-term planning. We have building blocks. These initiatives are easy to implement, but their contribution is minimal to the future state. Use a rigorous selection criterion to implement building blocks. Otherwise, these initiatives could become distractors. Include selected building block initiatives in short-term planning. Finally, we have low-value initiatives. Do not implement these initiatives because they divert resources for higher priority initiatives and may be too risky. Example of OPM core enabling processes are strategic alignment. Strategic alignment aligns portfolios programs and projects with organization's strategic goals and objectives. Organizational project management methodology, the system of practices, techniques, procedures, and rules used in portfolio program and project work to meet requirements and deliver benefits. Governance, the systems and methods by which OPM management and strategy are defined, authorized, monitored, and supported. Competency management facilitates the timely and appropriate assessment of the skills and development of the experience necessary to implement portfolios, programs, and projects within the organization. And these enabling processes take place in the implementation phase, as well as the continuous improvement phase. For the implementation team develops detailed implementation plans for each initiative based on the roadmaps and gap analysis, including appropriate subordinate plans and implementation schedule. The OPM benefits realization plan provides a consistent means of collecting and reporting the KPIs of OPM, which can be used to feedback into the continuous improvement of OPM. Continuous improvement is the continued realization of OPM benefits, which is dependent on the continued pursuit of improvement. The OPM governance body is responsible for the stewardship of OPM and a continuous improvement process as part of the OPM policy. Finally, we have an example of an OPM implementation roadmap, which has our current state, and our future state as defined by our strategic plan. And we have periods, different time periods. For example, the periods could be month. And we have phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So our initiatives our strategic initiatives might span for more than one phase. Not just one single phase of strategic implementation. And we have our initiatives, and we have the groups who are going to implement these initiatives are also defined in the same document or the same plan. And we have here initiative B, initiative G, initiative E, initiative J. And we also indicate the interrelationship between different initiatives. Not all initiatives are interdependent. Some initiatives could be entirely independent of other initiatives. However, they are restricted by the phase and time in all cases. So here the team uses the list of prioritized initiatives from the previous step. The team develops the implementation roadmap. The implementation roadmap depicts the high-level, short-term, and long-term milestones for implementing the required initiatives to achieve the future state. The implementation roadmap helps the implementation team to view all initiatives, their estimated start and stop dates, and relationships to other initiatives, for example, predecessors and successor relationships. Commit to implement the initiatives included in the roadmap. Forecast resources during the implementation of initiatives. Develop detailed implementation plans. The implementation roadmap is a chronological representation in graphical form of the selected initiatives, as well as a high-level view of key milestones and decision points. It depicts key dependencies between major milestones, communicates the linkage between the selected initiatives and business strategy and provides a compelling vision and high-level snapshot of the supporting infrastructure and component plans. Now we come to the end of our webinar, and this is where we receive questions and answer questions. So we will allow 1 minute for questions, and after 1 minute, we will either answer the questions, and in case we have no questions, we are going to conclude our webinar. Okay, we have not received questions. Therefore, I thank you very much for your attendance and for listening to this webinar. And I hope it has been a successful and an informative webinar. And I shall be looking forward to the next webinar. Thank you very much.